Hi, I'm Kelly Vaughn, and this is Inside Indy. And we have a guest, actually several guests in the studio today, but one in particular. And if you look at your screen there, you may recognize her. Yes, it's the sister of the Sisters of Savings. And she is Courtney Cole, who is the co-owner of Hare Chevrolet here in Indianapolis. Or where's your shop located?
We're in Noblesville.
Noblesville,
yes.
Okay, Noblesville. And then we have Tanya Hussein.
Yes, ma'am.
And she is the executive director of the American Lung Association. Welcome to Inside Indy.
Thank you.
We opened up with Courtney because you know her as one of the Sisters of Savings. But what you may not know is that she is currently battling and is going to win the fight against lung cancer. Tell us about, first of all, when you found out that you had lung cancer. We want to go on this journey with you because I follow you on Facebook.
Right.
And we're Facebook friends. Mm-hmm. And you know, some days you leave me in tears, and you inspire me, and so I was like, I have to have her in on the show to share with all of Indianapolis about your journey.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I'd ran a marathon approximately 2 weeks before I had all this chest pain, and it was getting pretty bad. I was at work, and it was one of those deals. Occasionally, my sister and I we used to get this little stress thing, and it's just a little inflammation. It's called costochondritis, and you take a little anti-inflammatory and you feel much better. Well, that's what I thought it was, but it had been going on for a while. But I took some anti-inflammatory, and about 7 o'clock that night, I mean, it was hurting just as bad as it was earlier, and I thought, God, there's no way I'm going to be able to sleep. So it was just that night, just the 2 kids and me, and I'm like, I got to get some relief. And, you know, it's really hard at 7:30 at night where to go. And I'd never taken myself to the emergency room, but I thought, I don't know what else to do. You can't really get a doctor at that time, and there's no way I'm going to be able to sleep. So I said, okay, kids, this is not a big deal, but Mommy has got to get some chest relief. Okay. Well, you go to the emergency room and you have chest pains. You go to the front of the line.
Right, yeah, they take you straight back.
Yes.
Wheelchair and all, you're in there.
You're in.
Yeah.
Well, they did some, they took some pictures. The doctor said, well, you have pleurisy on this side, but you've got a big lesion on your lung, and we're going to have to get that checked out. Well, pleurisy, they can give you a pill, and it's not a big deal. It's painful, but it's not a big deal. So, of course, it's going to take a couple of weeks before they can do the further tests. And, you know, I just run a marathon. I thought, the doctor's just doing his due diligence. You know, I never smoked in my life, and I'm fairly young, I thought. And so I thought, oh God, I just got to come back for these more tests. It's going to be a pain in the rear to prove that I'm healthy. Right. And I had a vacation plan. I'd even gone on it. And one of my friends that had been battling cancer called and said, well, you know, I hope everything's going to be okay. And I felt terrible that she even called me because of all the stuff she'd been through. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it'll be fine. I'm sure this is just a whatever. Mm-hmm. But then you go back and they're like, you know, you get all the tests done and they're like, no, this is cancer. And at first, you know, you hear that word and you're kind of like, oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. But they thought originally it was just stage 1. So I thought, so what they would do is just go in and do the surgery, then I'd be fine. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, okay, surgery's not fun, but it'll be over, everything will be fine. Mm-hmm. You go in, get the surgery, which is a bigger deal than, you know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I had it, and they send your stuff, you know, off, and about a week later, the doctor calls me. And he was like, I am so sorry. I'm thinking, what are you sorry about? Mm-hmm. And, you know, he said it came back and you actually have stage 3. And your first reaction is, how in the world can that happen? I've done all this healthy...
I just ran a marathon, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say.
Right, yeah.
So, and it's a big shock because you're thinking, you know, is it I'd done some triathlons and stuff, you know, what have I eaten or what environmental? And I don't know that I'll ever know that, but that kind of, you know, bothers you. So, but, you know, so then that started the chemo and the radiation, and that's really no fun. But got through that. And then go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just, first of all, your spirit, you're just so upbeat, and I just appreciate you being so positive. I guess I want to go back a little bit, though. When he told you it was stage 3, first of all, what does stage 3 mean? And maybe this is where Tanya can help us out in terms of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Does that mean a different type of cancer, or is that about the advancement of the cancer?
Advancement. It's
Okay.
a later stage. It has spread. I'm not a doctor,
Okay.
but it has moved to other locations in the body, lymph nodes.
Okay.
Yeah, the lymph nodes was the
were
number one
involved.
thing they said.
Okay.
And most lung cancer is not detected early, which is a big part of the problem. Only about 16% of lung cancers are even diagnosed in early stage. It's very rare it's usually an incidental finding. So that's one of the issues that we're all trying to turn around so that there's earlier detection where it's much easier to treat.
Because it's interesting, you talk about the early detection, and it's something happens at about the age of 50 because, now you have to take all these tests like regularly, right? And so you really want to know what's going on. And in my mind, because I have had friends around me who are battling now, and you go, well, I would like to know, how do I find out? And there doesn't seem to be like there's a test.
Right.
Like you can go get the colon cancer thing, you can get the
Right.
breast cancer. Well, what's the lung cancer test?
That's a really good question. There is a recommendation for low-dose CT scans for those who have meet certain criteria, who have smoked a certain number of packs a day for a certain number of years. So it's a very small population that qualifies for that test that you're talking about. And we're trying it as a lung association. We have some research to try to look into earlier diagnosis and earlier testing. So, and there are actually some companies in Indiana that are looking at that as well. So I think we'll get there. We're just not there yet.
What's your feeling on that? What she just said in terms of the testing, it has to be in this particular group and it's at a certain time in our lives.
Yeah, it's hard because you're kind of referring to smokers, but I'd never smoked in my life ever. And so that's why I thought, well, I don't have lung cancer, there's no way.
Right.
Because at that point in time, I thought that's the only way you got it. And then once you get it, it's kind of like once you buy a red car, then you see everybody else on the road that has a red car. So you start researching and you find a whole lot of other women or athletic people that have had it. And it's, from Superman's wife, she was a non-smoker. Right. She had that. John Elway has a sister that has passed away that was a tennis player at Stanford that had that. So
Liz Daly, former television reporter for Channel 8. I don't know if you remember Liz Daly, was an anchor, African-American reporter, had lung cancer. So yeah, and in her case, the same thing. She was not a smoker. So then, Tanya, we have no idea?
Well, women, one of the main focuses for the American Lung Association is focus on women's lung health because over the last 40 years, the death rate of women with lung cancer has risen 102%. And so we're much more vulnerable, whereas men, it has declined. And so women are more vulnerable to lung disease. Also, about 2/3, I will say, most women think of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, but lung cancer is responsible for more deaths of women than those 3 cancers combined.
Wow.
So it's
See, I didn't know that. You think, the race for the cure is breast cancer. That's what everybody is going to get checked out for.
But it's lung cancer is killing more women than many of those cancers combined. So
wow,
it's a much more real risk. And about 2/3 of the newly diagnosed are non-smokers. Now that is former smokers or those who have never smoked. But so it's not only smokers who are getting lung cancer.
Okay. What about the issue of secondhand smoke? And do you recall ever being, because I know I was,
Yes.
my father smoked like a train. As a kid, probably from the age of, 0 to, in my mother's womb to probably 20, I was always around secondhand smoke. Had you experienced anything like that, or?
Well, in college.
Okay, well, there's that.
You went out to the bars.
Right, yeah.
Back then, people would smoking. I mean, you'd come back and take a shower and your hair would go up in flames.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
But that was a long time ago for me.
An
you know?
isolated period
Yeah,
of time.
and nobody smokes in the bars anymore.
And
so
no history in your family
No.
or anything like that. So
Radon exposure is also another. It's the leading cause of lung cancer. The non-smoking. Those who are exposed to radon, it's a real risk factor.
And let's talk about that, because what I remember about radon is it's oftentimes it could be coming in your home.
Yes, and
from
it's invisible.
the ground or something. Because people don't
Yes.
talk about it like they used. There was a period where it was a pretty hot issue, but I haven't
That's
heard
right.
people talk about radon.
Yeah, radon exposure is the next to smoking, the leading cause of lung cancer, and people can grow up or sleep in the basement, or a lot of people don't check for radon unless they're maybe moving, so maybe they grew up in a house for 18 years or 20 years that may have had exposure years ago.
Okay.
But there's lots of ways to get radon kits, and I can share that information with you. Free radon testing.
Courtney, can you tell me a little bit more about the pain? And the reason I'm saying that is I want to help people know what that's like. And let me give you an example. When my dad had a heart attack back in 1990, he was sitting there and he goes, I popped some popcorn and it burned. And I don't know if it was the fumes or what triggered it, but he grabbed his neck and he says, ooh, what? He goes, what was in that stuff? He said, I never had anything hit me like that in my life. I don't know if it was something chemically, and it was way in the other room, but he described jaw pain. Now, he didn't collapse. The massive heart attack happened the next day. So I had tried to get him to go to the hospital anyway, but I was concerned about him, but he didn't act sickly or anything. And so I'm asking is because if someone had said jaw pain, I find a lot of times these descriptions about what's, the symptoms are not really, I don't interpret them the way I think they mean them. And like shortness of breath, I ended up with a pulmonary embolism, clots in both lungs, and people talk about shortness of breath. But I think of that meaning, shortness of breath really is you run out of air as you're talking. It's not a pant, it's more you just can't finish your sentences. They need to say you can't finish your sentences. So I'm looking for specific symptoms of what that felt like, and was there anything prior to that at all that now when you look back and you go,
There wasn't anything. I had that chest pain, which was the pleurisy, and that is painful. Now, if you Google it, it'll say that's a side effect. I mean, in some ways, I was very thankful to get in there and get pictures taken.
okay.
But that's the only pain that I ever really experienced, and that was just on that day. And it was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I got to get relief. And I just so happened to take myself to ER because I didn't know. I'm like, there's no way. And like you said, it was the pleurisy. But that's why, because they took the full picture of the chest, that's how he found. He goes, you've got a big issue on this other side. We need to get checked out.
Wow.
And I did not think. I'm like, well, whatever.
Right.
I'm like, this isn't possible.
Right. Oh,
'Cause
I'm with you. I just went through kind of the same thing in terms of the scare of with the breast exam and thyroid, and you have that. I have that mindset that it couldn't be just and I don't really have any symptoms, and everything checked out okay. But I'm on top of it because I'm listening and watching, and I think that's what more people need to do, and that's what I want people to learn from this. And then we want to know more about your journey with Courtney Cole. We'll be back in just a minute after this.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
And we're back, and we're continuing our discussion on lung cancer and how Courtney Cole is winning the battle. Welcome back to the show. I want to pick up where we left off, and we're also talking to Tanya Hussein, who is the Executive Director of the American Lung Association here in Central Indiana. And we appreciate you both being here, sharing your stories and informing our listeners, making them aware of what it's like to go through something like this. You mentioned off the air your kids. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids.
2 kids, okay.
13 and 11.
Oh, okay. You got a handful there then. Okay. So how do you cope with, because there are different components in terms of the healing process, and then I would think there's a fear factor there as well.
Yes, there is. And off there we were kind of discussing, I think it's good to reach out. You know, we have the internet. We might as well make use to reach out to others. And I've been very fortunate to not only the local lung association, but also on a national level. There's certain groups that kind of are on the internet, and there's a guy that had stage 4 that I met in one of those early meetings, and he kind of has a site. And so we get these drugs to help us, but they have a lot of side effects. So a lot of people will post, I'm taking this, and here's what's happening, but here's what I'm doing to deal with that. And that's helped me a lot.
Okay, so it's kind of a support group.
Exactly.
Online kind of thing. Okay, yeah. And Facebook certainly is very helpful. And I wouldn't have met you. It made me more aware of what was going on. And then we talked too about the power of prayer, that so many people come together and they're praying for you, and they're rooting you on, like, all right, go Courtney. And so it empowers and encourages me to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and originally I wasn't. I thought, oh boy, I'm not, everybody's different on how they handle it. I have no problem if I can share what's going on, but you kind of feel weird at first, but then you're like, it helps me writing about it, and I've read where that's one of the things. So it seems like whenever I have my sick times, I tend to write and I feel better. I don't know, it's kind of weird how that occurs.
I want to talk about that whole the aspect of being positive, because I think when you're busy and you get back to being normal and you're going on with your life, it's a distraction, so you don't have, to me, the worrying will wear you down. Am I right? Do you experience that with people who use your services at the Lung Association in terms of being positive?
Definitely. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I just, I observe it on our committees when we're rolling up our sleeves, trying to get an event off the ground, trying to raise awareness or funds or both for lung cancer, just staying busy and the positive energy from patients and survivors who are helping us. They're helping others. They're dealing with, Courtney's on our board. She's helping others never have to deal with this again, and she's got great energy and optimism, and definitely seems to, I can't speak for you, but seems to keep a great kind of positive environment, and they bring such good ideas, and it really seems, Courtney has talked, I'm friends with her on Facebook as well, talks about just looking for normal, just looking to do those normal everyday things.
That's what you want to do, get back to normal.
Yeah.
So the side effects, can we talk about that more in terms of what are they and how you cope with those?
Well, and they come in different times, but some of they're called target drugs. That's the advancements that they have made. Probably you heard about President Jimmy Carter, that they kind of cured his brain, or I don't call it cure, but it prolongs your life. And so a lot of these cancers, there's a lot of promise, but you take the drug, which is a lot of times a form of chemotherapy, and I take it once every night. But the side effects, they come and go, but they can be, severe acne. At first I broke out, I had it all, I didn't want to go out in public.
Okay.
And your face hurts so bad, it's like having it on fire, that you couldn't even put makeup on. But then you eventually get around, and sometimes you have this and you just get to the point where you're like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me,
Okay.
But that was one. Most of these pills, it's not a great conversation, but diarrhea is very common.
Okay.
And it's you can have a moment where you go, I gotta go.
Yeah, and
you just gotta make up something. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But those are they're hard on the skin, but they clear you out. The places that need to be cleared out, but so they have, a lot of times the doctors will give you other drugs to take to deal with those.
Okay.
And then you can go forward, but it beats the alternative.
Okay. So what's a typical day like for you?
Well, a typical day is I just take my Target drug at night, and I get really dry mouth, which that's all right. I take tons of water on the side, which then makes me go to the bathroom.
Right. It's just like a cycle there.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, that's how and not to get into that too much, but I broke my arm recent. It's been a few months, but going to the bathroom, I was at a foreign hotel and I tripped and fell, and unfortunately my cancer went in my bones too.
Okay.
It wasn't a hard fall, but it didn't take much.
Right.
But anyways, so a lot of times you deal with that at night, and then in the morning, there's more pills to take.
Okay.
And then I want to get food in me so you don't get sick, type of thing. And then I'd lug around my drugstore.
Okay.
So if anything comes up, you can take care of it and not have to deal with it.
Okay. So.
But pretty much every cancer person that's on what we call target drugs, they deal with that. I mean,
Okay.
it could be other things. I mean, the drugs do amazing things, but they tear up your system at the same time.
Okay. Okay. When she said target drugs, so are these different than what is out there in general that people are using, or are these? Is it a part of studies, or when you say target drugs?
I don't know if she's on the study or.
Mine
Or targeting
is,
that
Yeah,
specific
specific.
cancer?
Yes, it's targeting that specific. Now, there's about 4 or 5 different ones, and they're constantly, they last about 2 to 3 years, and then they'll say, like my doctor recently said, okay, we're going to be on this for about 36 months, then it tends to wear off. And when they wear off, you got to be careful because you might have another incident of cancer.
Okay.
We're going to put you on, but here's what our next drug's going to be. But the good thing is they're constantly making new drugs, so there might be a new one come along.
That's even better.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the key is, or not the key, but what we all wish for as cancer people is, can you make it so it helps me but doesn't have the side effects? Because anybody that's had it knows
Right.
I'm going to have to deal with this, and that.
Okay. And you had said something earlier about living longer, and that's what it really is about, because it's interesting when people hear your story, they're thinking, well, a lot of people think, well, I'm okay. No, we all are trying to live longer because any of us know how long we're going to be here. So it is about the longevity increasing, and of course the quality of life is important, but that's beautiful, and to hear that the advancements have been made to make that happen.
Yeah, it's
awesome,
fantastic.
so.
That's a lot of what the American Lung Association raises money to do, is to do research and to help that occur.
If people have questions about lung cancer, or say they want somebody to come to their workplace and talk about it, or how do they get in touch with you, Tanya?
Well, the general website is www.lung.org, and then they can type in Indianapolis and get to us directly, or they can call me directly, reach out to me at tanya.hussein at lung.org.
All right, sounds good. And Courtney, how can people get in touch with you? And now, when I was asking you about, your typical day, are you able to work? Do you go into work and do
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I try. I mean, work is pretty normal until something big happens, and then a lot of times we're back in the hospital and all that not so fun stuff. But I do a lot through Facebook. The problem is Facebook only takes 5,000 people, and I've maxed that out, and so I'm trying to figure out how to.
I think you need a new page.
I know. Well, I think you can do that, and I haven't done that yet. But I'm trying to figure that out because you get a lot more out of helping other people than you do out of those crazy political posts.
Right, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So we love you. We love what you stand for, and you inspire me. And I'm just so pleased to have this opportunity to meet you, because you truly are an inspiration.
Well, thank
so
you.
you keep it going, girl. You got it going.
All right.
All right. Courtney Cole and Tanya Hussein from
Thank
the
you.
Lung Association here in Central Indiana. Thanks so much for being our guest today.
Oh, it's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
On Inside Indy. And thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Kelly Vaughn. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Natural disasters are a fact of life in the U.S. And between activities and school, chances are you won't be with your kids when they happen. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids can help your children feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
1 in 3. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy. You, the boss, the boss's boss. If 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, that means it could be you, your barber, your barber's barber.
Nice work.
Thanks.
You, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse.
Yes.
You, your dog walker,
On your left.
your cat jogger. Or you, your co-pilot, your co-pilot's co-pilot. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day,
One man's
right down
dream
in Georgia,
of racial
Mississippi,
equity and harmony. Unity, seeing people as people, created in the image of God, is central to the Christian message. Acts records, "From one man he made every nation of men." God did this so men would seek him. Celebrate the creation, celebrate the vision, and celebrate each other as God celebrates you.
with this faith, I will go out with you and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. With this faith, we will be able to achieve this new day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing with the Negroes in the spiritual of all, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.